funny.
I'm also going to try and stop saying again. Did you read a lot of people?
Yeah. I think, so it's funny, recording these videos, we all have crutch words that we use. It's kind of, we all do in real life as well. But it's not until you watch the tape back and you're like, damn, I said interesting 17 times.
Yeah. For me, it's again.
Okay, we learn. You know what? We looked at the tape.
Yep.
We're going to reflect on it.
You were here early today?
I was.
Yeah.
I was.
Kind of.
She got fined for that comment yesterday.
I did not.
Yeah, I'm fining you.
All right, welcome back to the Buffalo Plus channel presented by Connors and Ferris. Mike Catalana, Dan Fates, I am Jenna Cottrell. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. We always appreciate it. Training camp day number 5. 5. Today, the pads came on. We've got to do like the Bills quarterbacks, how they all...
We got to work on that.
Make it a little bit more graceful. Okay, so today, like I said, pads were on. That adds a different element, though, to practice. Yep. And I love what Ed Oliver had to say about some of the offensive guys were really excited. He's like, I don't know about it.
Yeah, that little, not phony, but a little bit like, I'm excited about wearing the pads. I really do think the defensive players look forward to it more than the offensive guys.
I agree.
Totally.
They still can't really hit, but I think the tone of the practice changed. There was a few little dust-ups. Is that a good phrase?
That's skirmish?
Skirmishes. They were really nothing. There was no fights.
I just always think about Duke Williams whenever they go pad up. And we asked him years ago. Mike, you asked him. I think I was working the camera. Travis was working the camera. And the question was, what are you most looking forward to? And he just looks at the camera and that face and he just goes, contact. There was lots of contact today.
Yeah.
I think that's where the O-line and the D-line, we heard Dawson talk about it the day before, where it's tough to block also not in pads. So I think that was something that I paid a little bit more attention to, was the contact, especially at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, I thought it was fun to watch. Like you said, it turns up the intensity as well. Let's start with the offense a little bit more, because today our pass catcher of the day is someone that probably a lot of people would not have on their bingo card. Tyrell Shavers has made some plays throughout camp, and today he had a beautiful catch. And I feel like he's one of those guys that not expected to really make an impact, but he's had some really nice moments.
His first big moment happened before practice even started.
Yeah.
When Sean McDermott was like, hey, consistent, first one out, last one to leave. Very upbeat on Shavers.
This is what Sean McDermott had to say.
Yeah, very impressed. Even if you go back to his rookie season, he's so consistent, and even when he wasn't playing, with his approach. One of the first players in the building, one of the last to leave, knows what we're doing offensively, systematically, and I mean he's, when you look up consistent in the dictionary, like his face shows up in my mind, because he's so consistent and at a young age. I have a lot of respect and appreciation for that.
And you don't hear Sean McDermott being complimentary and singling out guys a lot. And I think that's a huge distinction, because he'll say, yeah, the guys are working all this stuff, but to specifically say to Shavers, I've been very impressed, says a lot.
I thought he was going to do the classic McDermott of, I'm impressed with a lot of young guys out here. And he didn't. He singled them out. And I thought that the end of, when I look at consistency in a dictionary, I picture his face. Like, that is high praise from a coach who is complimentary, usually as a group or a unit. I thought that was very telling to see that.
Yeah, and Shavers is in a spot, too, where last year he comes in. Undrafted guy, played at 3 different schools, and one of them was during COVID, so that always adds up. Comes in, he's a rookie, and he's out there, and you got Diggs and Gabe, guys who had been there. It's a different room, and now here he is after being on the practice squad. He's back out there. And when I say nobody was really talking about him, they really weren't coming in. He's a guy.
Justin Shorter.
Yes,
well,
Justin Shorter was a draft pick the year before, and I would say this, in the pecking order of the guys who can make the roster, and I know a lot of you out there are hopeful for Justin Shorter, and he's still got time left, Tyrell Shavers is ahead of him. There's no question.
Tyrell Shavers, out of that wide receiver 6, is kind of where we're thinking there's a spot. He's ahead of Chase Claypool, who missed today's practice with a toe injury. That was something we talked about yesterday he suffered. And he's jumped Justin Shorter. So those are the two guys. Right now, if they broke camp today, I think he's on the team.
With what McDermott had to say, the plays that he's been able to make, I agree. I think he's someone that I was certainly not expecting to make an impression, but he has done a good job of doing that. But I think that's the beauty of camp is so many players, when they have an opportunity, now it's just about, and you guys got to talk to Tyrell Shavers about it, now it's just about building off of that and building momentum.
He looks a lot like Justin Shorter. I think maybe that's sometimes too where you go, oh, who made that play or who made that catch? And you go, oh, Shorter. Oh, it's Shavers. It's Shavers. We got to catch up with him after practice. He sounds very composed for a young player. This is what he had to say.
So Sean McDermott was talking about you a little bit today. Said consistent worker, first in, last out. To me, when the head coach is talking about you like that,
it's a blessing, honestly. It just shows that the work doesn't go unnoticed, but just got to keep showing up every day, keep being the best version of myself, and like he said, being consistent.
you say about not going unnoticed. Is it tough to get noticed? Because you're trying to make this team, make the regular roster, enter the practice squad. What do you have to do to get, when I say get noticed, I mean, obviously Sean's looking at you. There's Josh walking by. People are noticing. What do you have to do?
Whenever your number's called, just make a play. Show up, and every time, whenever your number is called, no matter the situation, just make sure that people know that you can do your job.
It seems like you've had a pretty strong start. You're getting plenty of reps with the first team. How encouraging is all that, or in your opinion, the first 5 days of camp for you?
It's been a blessing, honestly. I just got to keep taking advantage of it and keep doing what I can do, control what I can control.
Sorry, I don't know if you've been asked this already, but Sean mentioned how consistent you are today. Is that something like you take pride in, like being the same every day, day in, day out?
Yeah, I think I just try to show up and just be the best version of myself, I try to keep the same routine every day, showing up early, just get my body going, get my mind right, and just let things play out how they do.
The way you ended up here, you went through, I think, was it 3 schools in college?
Yes.
That you ended up undrafted. You come in here, and it's a different receiver room last year, and you were a rookie.
Yeah.
How much different was last year to this year for you?
It's just really different. Last year I was kind of learning the ropes, just getting my feet wet, but now it's like I'm thrown in the fire, see what I can do. So just being able to get out there and show my abilities to everybody and show my abilities, earn my teammates' trust and make plays.
What's it like balancing that when you get your number called in first team reps today? And I know you try and act like every rep's the same, but it's a little different when you start running with the ones for a little bit, right?
I think you really, when bad things start happening, when you start treating it differently. So you show up and you just do the same things. You fall back to your training, So I feel like I've trained pretty hard. I've put the work in. Just got to take advantage of the opportunities.
It just was going. I'm sorry, Pat. I was just going to go back to. I mean, last year you walk in that room and it's Steph, it's Gabe, and those guys have been around. This year it seems like everybody has something to prove in the room. Do you feel that? And is that make it better for you, who's another guy trying to prove something?
I think so. I think competition brings out the best. So regardless if it's across the ball or in the same room, you see a guy make a play, you're like, man, I got to go make a play now. So it's really a good thing, honestly. Just got to make a play whenever your number's called.
Yeah, I was impressed by him in that way. It is a different room, and I think he recognizes that, and the opportunity is there for him. But, hey, listen, you want to get Sean McDermott's attention, show up, do your job, make plays when the ball comes to you. And I'm not sure in this case, but, Dan, I thought the answer he gave, you asked him about it being moments in a game when you're out there with
The ones.
the ones.
He got a lot of run today with the ones. He was actually getting runs with the ones and the threes.
Yes.
And again, I kind of laughed, like, that's a lot. But it's almost like if you want to make the team, you got to get all the reps that you can possibly take. So I thought that was very telling.
But I was impressed that he said, listen, I can't approach that snap any different than the other ones. I get it. I do think he looks over and goes, well, that's 17 going to throw me the ball.
I agree.
And I better catch it. But they're watching everything they do. You drop a pass over the middle, it really doesn't matter who threw it. You got to catch the ball. He's doing his job, but he did have a really nice one. Allen comes over, slapping hands. Like, you make those kind of plays, everybody take. And while we were interviewing him, Josh walks by, gives him a little tap. Like, you get the notice of the head coach. and the quarterback,
Yeah.
I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, standing out in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
Another young receiver to talk about, Keon Coleman. Today we mentioned the first day of pads. Not his best day so far. I would say it's probably the I don't want to say worst he's looked at camp, but he had some drops that were kind of unexpected. He did have a nice catch to end out practice, but he bobbled the ball before, able to catch it. The refs ruled it his feet in. It was a catch. We kind of thought it wasn't a catch, but either way, it was a ball that could have been cleanly caught. So I think it's the maturation process, and now it's another ratchet up.
I think it's the ratchet it up. And Sean talked about that before practice, about putting on the pads. And the question was kind of about what it's like for Travis Clayton, Gable Steveson, like what that's going to be like for them to put on pads. And he kind of talked about it's a wave. But I think that wave applies to rookies too. You go from playing in college, you then come to minicamp and OTAs, then you go to pads. And Sean said, now you're going up against grown men that you're trying to take food off their table. Like, I saw one rep, it was on one-on-ones with Jamarcus Ingram, and Ingram just kind of manhandled him. Ingram is a longer corner, but the physicality, I think, caught Coleman a little off guard of, oh,
Now we're playing.
now this is it. Like, this isn't no more shells. You can't really touch me. Like, this was a more physical, and I think he kind of took a little bit of a step, flattened out. I'm not going to say a step back, but this was, if we're giving arrows up and arrows down, this was an arrow down day for Coleman.
He looks like a rookie.
He looked like a rookie.
And that's okay. That's
Yes.
a part of this as well.
One thing I wanted to add, if you think about any other sport, for the most part, you wear your equipment and you play. In football, like...
Yeah, they don't practice, and like hockey players don't not wear pads
and
for practice.
so, Keon got down at Florida State, like whenever you don't wear pads. Like, you don't practice in them. You don't run around. The off season, there's no pads, and then you finally put them on. And I'm not making excuses. I'm saying it is an adjustment, more so than
Reasons, not excuses.
reasons. Oh, look at that. A wise
That
man
is always
says
a
that
good-
all the
yeah.
time.
It's a good T-shirt too.
Yes.
It's Mike Catalana's line.
Yes.
Hall
That
of
is-
Famer.
Credit to me is also, someone wrote that as as a comment for our last video. I'm sorry, I can't remember who did, but chef's kiss, phenomenal.
It's a Dan
Credit to
comment.
me merch might be
Credit to
coming
me.
soon. Credit to me.
I'm also going to try and stop saying again. Did you read a lot of people?
Yeah. I think, so it's funny, recording these videos, we all have crutch words that we use. It's kind of, we all do in real life as well, but it's not until you watch the tape back and you're like,
Yeah.
damn, I said interesting 17 times.
Yeah.
For me, it's again.
Okay, we learn. You know what? We looked at the tape.
Yep.
We're going to reflect
You
on
were
it.
here early today?
I was.
Yeah.
I
well,
was.
Kind of.
she
I
got
was.
fined for that comment yesterday.
I did not.
Yeah. I'm fining you.
They don't know what fines are.
Well, we fine people in our department when they make a
Department,
mistake.
there's 3 of us.
Well, it's a big department.
Yeah.
And Jenna basically admitted some days she mails it in. That's what I took.
That's exactly
Okay,
how I took
first of all, everyone does
it.
that.
Again, that's how I took it.
So what is
Everyone does that.
My word is guys. I'll refer to the players. They need a guys.
I
And
think you have a
sometimes
different one, but I don't want to say it because then we get them in each other's heads, and then we'll never be able to do it.
I don't whisper it.
Interesting.
I think I say that a lot too, though.
Yeah.
Well, now I want to know what it is.
Interesting. We say interesting a lot. We think it's interesting.
Well, in
Yeah, it
fairness,
is interesting.
In fairness to us, it's hard because we don't have the ability for there to be things to play out as much. So like
That is interesting.
It's something that sometimes it's like we'll see how this pans out and it will be interesting to watch, but it's because we have such a smaller sample than what will be expected later on.
We read the comments again.
Again, guys, it's
Also,
interesting.
not high. I'm not high. I swear. I wore sunglasses today to beat the allegations, but I'm not high.
Does
I
that
promise.
work to beat the allegations?
I don't know, but I promise you I'm not.
Couple other notes from practice again.
No segue.
Yeah. Shakir had a nice crossing route in
Yes.
11 on 11s,
Yes.
and so did Curtis Samuel. Both of those guys, I thought, looked good.
Yeah.
MVS is just not.
In the mix.
It's a little bit perplexing. And I know there were comments. We're friends with Joe Marino, and he does this podcast and all those things, and people were saying, oh, he could not make the team. I would be stunned. I have been wrong before with hot takes. Shocking.
Clip that,
Clip it.
man.
But his contract is guaranteed. I would be very surprised. It would be interesting for him to not make this team. Maybe they know what he has. Mac Hollins has got a lot of run with the ones. I don't necessarily see Mac being a starting wide receiver if the team lines up for the first play of the season and they go 3 wide. I think it's Coleman, I think it's Samuel, and I think it's Kaiir. Those are how they would line up.
It is going to be fascinating to watch how it plays out. I think Josh Allen connected.
Interesting synonym.
Well, I was going to use interesting, and then I went to
That was
fascinating.
so good. That was so clean.
Because he is a guy who.
He's a
the guy scored a touchdown. I know, really.
Now we're in our heads. I can't.
Yeah, we're just not reading the comments.
He is a man who caught a touchdown pass in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And I'm saying
One
is,
that fans were.
well,
and he kind of beat the Bills.
yes, and I'm saying is that is the difference because
You know
that he has done it. He can be frustrating.
Correct.
And he has talent, and Josh seemed to really like that type of player on the roster.
That's
Yes.
what, again.
I
did it.
Oh, sorry. I think what's surprising to me is how little chemistry I feel Josh and MVS have.
But we're not even seeing him run with the ones.
Well,
we
I
have
feel
seen
like-
Shavers run more with the ones. And again, you are rotating guys. You are rotating guys.
We need like a swear jar, but
Yeah.
except it's a Danford again.
Yeah.
Put in
you
a
are
dollar.
rotating guys in and out. So some of it is like, I think you may know what you have with MVS more than a few other guys, but it is interesting.
Okay, we should. This is awful.
Okay.
The fact of how little he has run with the ones. I thought today, because yesterday we didn't see Curtis Samuel like run with the ones after he had a great day 3. So I was like, maybe they're just rotating guys in and out. Like, we'll see how this works. I was surprised. Again, MVS, not really a factor.
I think he had so many opportunities the first couple days at camp, and it just didn't look good. And
It's
I
July.
think that I agree, but I am saying, you know how McDermott is. It's you got to earn it. And I think that they were sending a message of like, yes, you might have a guaranteed contract, but if you're not putting in the results on the field, you are going to work with the 2s, you are going to work with the 3s, and give an opportunity to someone else. So it makes sense. I agree with you that I'd be very surprised if MVS was cut because his contract is guaranteed. And also what we have seen so far at camp, he has not looked great.
But he hasn't looked awful. Like, it isn't like he's dropping passes left and right. He just hasn't had any opportunities.
Yeah.
I think he has had opportunities, and he hasn't.
2?
And he had, well, going back even day 1, day 2, day 3, he was working with the ones.
So here's the thing about it is no one really has a position when I say set.
Correct.
Right? You think some guys are going to be on the roster, but nobody has it. So this is a prove it time. And I do think it's going to cycle in and out a little bit. And I need to
so,
be
too.
fair to say this could be a little bad stretch for him, and then he gets back out there. He is a frustrating but somewhat proven NFL player.
Yep.
Like, you know what you're getting with him. They weren't getting him in here thinking, he's going to ascend
He's not a
to
Claypool.
this. He's not like somebody would say he's going to have the most receiving yards this year. I mean,
Yeah.
who would say something like that? That's crazy talk.
That's beyond interesting.
He's quiet.
It's like when you bet and you can. Well, how do you do that? If you have a bet and you can
Hedge.
cash out early.
Cash out?
Yeah, you might need to
It's
cash
called
out.
cash out.
I don't know. I'm not Uncle Dan.
So we had another bad snap, as I segue perfectly. Another drop snap. I think we've had some sort of fumble, low snap. This is another under center snap that, again, it's starting to become more and more apparent that it's just we're having one a practice.
Well, Dan, it's July.
Zing.
Stupid podcast. I thought the D-line was a lot better than the O-line today.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We are going to talk coming up with DeJuan Smoot. He's someone that has made some flashy plays during camp so far, new to the team, a veteran. Sean McDermott talking about what he brings. Ed Oliver as well, like someone who Ed Oliver was like, I didn't even know if he would be out there, but him being in Buffalo, we will have that story coming up. Talking more about the defense, though, something of note today, Mike Edwards, the safety, dealing with a hamstring issue. He was not at practice week to week, and that to me is a little concerning.
That is alarming because he is behind. He missed the spring.
Yep.
And he's a veteran, great. Mental reps, great. But even Sean said, you got to be out on the field. He's got to be out on the field. And DeMar has played well. And
Bishop is
getting, it's just going to give Bishop more of an opportunity, maybe even a little earlier than they would have anticipated. Not great. And hamstrings can linger for players.
Yep.
And I'm sure he wants to get out on the field, but he only had those few days. And they ramped him up a little bit after the first day, and now he's out. So it's going to be very enlightening to see if Bishop can take advantage of this circumstance. It doesn't mean, I still think Dan's right in this case. If the season started today, DeMar is starting at safety.
That is correct.
That is, yeah, I agree.
But Bishop's going to get a chance to show what he can do. And then, as we mentioned yesterday, there's still that guy hanging out in California.
Yeah. A.J. Epinesa had a tackle for a loss. Again, I thought the D-line was the driving force, especially in running plays, which, again, I care a little bit more about when they're actually in pads than when they're just in their shells.
I'll give that to you.
Gable Stevenson also had a tackle for a loss. That popped. We all kind of went, whoa, what was that? And then Kingsley Jonathan would have had a sack on Josh Allen if he could have hit Josh Allen. So some guys that we haven't necessarily talked about, I thought made some splash plays for the defensive line.
And bringing up someone we haven't talked about all that much on your notebook, Christian Benford.
Finish the
Christian Benford is really good.
Wasn't a fluke. This guy's going to get paid.
Oh.
He
said flute.
We were talking about band instruments before this.
We were.
Yeah, he is, to me, it was a cool story the first year of like, wow, this guy out of Villanova, all these things. And you were like, he's pretty good. Battled some injuries. And then last year I thought he just continued to get better. And this year, he's just an elite, in my mind, football player. I have been on the Christian Benford, stand since last year's camp. He just, when he is healthy, flies around the field, tackling. He can put the clamps on. He had the great rep on Mac Hollins, physical, all those things.
He and Mac Hollins, Mac tried every veteran trick trying to shake him. It's just a one-on-one drill, including grabbing him the back of the jersey. All the defensive guys reacted. Benford hung in there. Yesterday we saw him working after practice with Taron Johnson. Mm-hmm. You're right. He's a player. When you watch him, you see what they see in him. By the way, is he trying to take credit for Christian Benford?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh.
The guy started his first game.
Yeah, and then everybody's like, well, they drafted Kaiir and all these things. I was last year sitting there going, Christian Benford is a top 2 corner for this team. He was a starting corner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You talking about his rookie season?
I thought after his rookie year.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love Christian Benford too.
Right. Yeah.
I think we all, based on draft, would assume that it was going to be Kaiir. And going into year 2 for Benford last year, I thought this was going to be the year that Kaiir would assert himself. He was a first-round draft pick, had all the tools to succeed. Benford ended up keeping the job, and it's because of plays like he had today. I think, A, what a steal, but B, I think he's a perfect example of what Sean McDermott loves to say, and trusting the process of someone who keeps their head down, who works hard, who has an opportunity, makes the most of that opportunity. You're right, he is going to get paid a lot of money, and I think for Brandon Beane too, what a blessing. The same year you take Kaiir to take a guy like Christian Benford, because they haven't had to worry as much. It hasn't been a glaring hole on this roster because of what Benford is.
But it makes it even better because I think Kaiir Elam's going to have a role in this team.
I agree. I think he looks so much more clear and confident this year. New defensive backs coach, I think, definitely plays a factor in that. And he just has a confidence this year that I didn't see in the previous 2 years.
It's the number 5. I said to him, this may sound like a dumb question, but I'm going to ask you. You seem different wearing the number 5. He goes, that's me. I wore 5 my whole life. I'm that guy. And when you ask him about losing confidence, he looks at you like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And I will say, Jenna, he had that horrible game in London. He stood up there and talked to us after the game.
Which I give him a lot of credit for.
He has always done that. But he's having fun. He's physical. He's attacking the ball.
He's making plays.
He is going to be a player on this roster.
I wish Kaiir could talk to Christian to get Christian to change his number. 47's not a great defensive back number.
Well, you never know. You see how the roster plays out. Sometimes guys change the number.
Also, Kaiir told us that he loses about 7 to 8 pounds of practice because of how much he sweats.
He's a ball of sweat.
It looked like he jumped out of the pool and then came over to talk to us. And then we were talking, he goes through 2 to 3 pairs of cleats during a game, 2 to 3 pairs of gloves.
That's wild.
And he was walking, and it looked like he was walking in a puddle.
Yeah.
And it was his shoes.
And
there was no puddles on the field.
So I believe his girlfriend's there, and we were talking to her, and she said, we do hot yoga together. They have to put towels all over the floor.
4 towels around him.
Because he sweats so much. And he laughed about it, losing all that weight. I'm sure there's a lot of people who would be like, wow, that would be great. But it's a thing for him. He's got to bring the weight back.
He's got to add it back on.
He played in Florida. Like, it was even worse, he said, down there. But he just drenched when he's done practice.
It's going to be hot tomorrow, too.
Yeah.
Real hot. All right, anything else,
Any
gentlemen?
other notes?
No, that's it.
All right, no other notes from the notebook.
Veteran days for Milano and Taron Johnson.
And Von Miller.
And Von Miller, yes. We are leaving this afternoon to do something we think will be very cool for the channel.
Yes.
Big guest.
Yeah, we're just waiting for it to play out, and then we will let everybody know, but we think it's going to be cool.
My Mac Holland story is up on my social, and we will put it also on the channel if you haven't seen it.
Well done.
Pretty cool.
He's a very interesting cat.
He is. Ooh, cat. Ooh, look at you.
Yeah. All right, for Mike Catalana and Dan Fates, I am Jenna Cottrell. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and again, share.
Oh, shout out to Dave. I know he commented here. He came up to Dan and I on the field
Dominic,
yesterday.
too.
Dominic, yes. Thanks
Love
for
it.
watching the channel.
Always appreciate that.
And we read the comments.
We do. I try not to sometimes.
We read the comments.
We do. All right, we'll catch you next time here, guys. Love you guys.